Like many Star Trek, Deep Space Nine characters, Major Kira Nerys, Nana Visitor, underwent a complex character evolution throughout DS9's 7 seasons. Star Trek, Deep Space Nine's first officer was originally supposed to be Star Trek, The Next Generation's Ensign Ro Laren, Michelle Forbes, but when Forbes declined to return as Ensign Ro, DS9 created Major Kira instead. Unlike Ro Laren's Starfleet-adjacent point of view in TNG, Kira's backstory in the Bajoran Resistance placed her closer to the front lines of the conflict between the Bajorans and their Cardassian oppressors. Born in 2343 in Baja's Dhaka province, Kira Nerys grew up in a refugee camp with her parents, Kira Taban and Meru, and her brothers, Rion and Pol. When Nerys was 3 years old, her mother was taken to be a comfort woman for the camp's Cardassian overseers, and Meru became Gul Dukat's, Mar Kalimo, mistress. Dukat ensured that Kira's family was safe, but the Gul's measures barely tempered the harsh conditions of the Cardassian occupation of Baja. Nerys' belief that Cardassians had killed her mother was a reasonable assumption, given the violence that was a fact of life in the camps. Kira Nerys' life in the Bajoran Resistance before Star Trek, DS9, 2356–2369. Kira joined the Resistance when she was 12 years old. After facing numerous injustices during her refugee camp childhood, Kira Nerys joined the Bajoran Resistance in 2356, when she was just 12 years old. The leader of the Shakaar resistance cell, Shakaar Eden, Duncan Regger, was hesitant to admit a child so young, but others vouched for Kira's abilities. Early on, Nerys only ran errands and cleaned weapons. As a teenager, Kira proved herself and was welcomed as a full member of Shakaar's cell. The resistance took care of Kira's father, Taban, Thomas Kopash, as he died, but Nerys feared losing him and intentionally avoided Taban's death as a resistance fighter. Kira's paths crossed with other Star Trek characters. Star Trek, Deep Space Nine Season 2, Episode 8, Necessary Evil flashed back to Kira meeting Constable Odo, Renee Auberjonois, Quark, Armin Shimerman, and Gul Dukat on a 2365 mission to Deep Space Nine, when it was the Cardassian mining station Terek Nor Kira raided the Haru outpost alongside Star Trek, Lower Decks Lieutenant Shaxs, Fred Tutashora. After the Bajoran Resistance successfully ousted the Cardassians to end the occupation, Kira joined the Bajoran militia, with her resistance experience translating to the rank of Major. Major Kira became Star Trek, DS9's first officer, 2369–2375. Kira's character arc focused on breaking down barriers. Major Kira Nerys became Star Trek, Deep Space Nine's first officer in 2369, when Commander Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, specifically requested a Bajoran militia officer as his second-in-command. Initially, Major Kira had difficulty working within the system instead of against it and objected to the Federation's involvement in helping to rebuild Baja. Kira soon adapted to her new role as DS9's official liaison to Baja, hoping to represent her people's best interests. Kira Nerys' numerous accomplishments helped to usher in Bajoran independence amidst infighting, misinterpreted prophecy, Federation meddling, and Baja's part in a second major war. A major element of Kira Nerys' Star Trek, Deep Space Nine character arc was about deconstructing long-held beliefs and confronting one's own prejudices. Dealing with the self-serving Kai Winadami, Louise Fletcher, and the Bajoran terrorist ring, The Circle, tested Kira's faith in Bajoran institutions. One-on-one conversations with Cardassian sympathizers like Amin Maritza, Harris Yulin, and Tekani Gemma, Lawrence Pressman, helped break down Kira's deep-rooted hatred of all Cardassians. Kira befriended Tora Zial, Melanie Smith, Dukat's half-Bajoran daughter, while still holding Dukat in the highest contempt. Kira Nerys romances on Star Trek, DS9. Nerys had 3 major love interests in DS9. Romance was rarely Kira Nerys' top priority, but Nerys welcomed romantic relationships while serving on Deep Space Nine. Kira was involved with Vedek Barail Ontos, Philip Anglim, a progressive Bajoran religious leader, from 2369 until Barail died in 2371. The accident that took Barail out of the running for Baja's next Kai was likely orchestrated by rival Vedek Win. From 2372 to 2373, Kira and her former resistance leader, Shakaar Eden, were in a romantic relationship that ended amicably when Shakaar was elected Baja's first minister. In 2373, an alternate timeline version of Constable Odo told Major Kira that he had been in love with her for years. Unsure how to proceed with this, Kira kept the revelation secret and maintained her friendship with Odo. Kira and Odo's feelings for each other built slowly as they worked together, culminating in Odo's confession that he loved Kira in 2374, which Nerys reciprocated. Kira and Odo remained together as a couple until Odo's 2375 departure to lead the Founders from within the Great Link at the end of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. Neris becomes Colonel Kira to win Star Trek, DS9's Dominion War, 2374–2375. Colonel Kira taught the Cardassian Rebellion how to fight oppressors. Colonel Kira, Nana visitor, wearing Starfleet uniform confronts Damar, Casey Biggs, DS9 when it rains. When Deep Space Nine fell into Dominion hands at the end of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine Season 5, Major Kira stayed on DS9 as a representative of Bajor, which had signed a non-aggression pact with the Dominion. For Kira, actually remaining neutral was impossible, and Neris formed a resistance against the Dominion occupation, which helped Starfleet retake DS9 in 2374. Kira was promoted to Colonel in 2375, and took command of DS9 during Captain Sisko's brief leave of absence.